Houston Real Estate Radio.
Welcome back. You're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio, and I'm your host, Shannon Register, talking with you about real estate information that you can use. If you have a question you'd like answered, you can call us anytime, day or night, 281-882-8088. That's a recording. You leave your question, and we will answer them on Sundays between 2 and 3 p.m. right here on AM 700. That's when we'll answer your questions. And today we are talking with Dr. Jim Gaines, and we're so excited to have him here. He's been talking about the national focus of real estate, what's going on from the national level, and we're going to hone in now on this Houston, Texas area and see what's going on. So we're very happy to have him Skyping in today from College Station. Welcome back.
Well, my pleasure.
So we've been talking about the national level. Tell us what's going on in Houston, just kind of an overview of Houston and the Texas market for real estate.
Well, Texas has been doing obviously one of the exceptional states. And just as a summary on our national discussion, you have to remember that the national numbers and the media reports that you're reading a lot about are being dominated by four principal areas: California, Florida, Arizona, and Las Vegas. And to a certain extent, New York, Chicago area, Detroit, and Atlanta has not been doing well. The Florida and Georgia markets have been hard hit, as you know. But Houston and Texas have been sort of the brighter spots. Now, it's the opposite kind of thing, because we've got a little bit of a mini boom going in our economy here, and particularly in southeast Texas, with the Eagle Ford Shale, with the energy activity going on, the high oil prices, although the price of oil has come down considerably in the last several months. But nevertheless, it has stimulated a lot of economic activity in the area. And so as a consequence, we haven't had the kind of bust that we saw in these other areas. The nice thing, too, is we never had the real big boom.
Right. Yeah.
If you didn't have the artificially inflated prices, when you do hit the bad times, the downside isn't as deep and as hard as some of these other areas.
Yeah, we seem to be coming out of it a lot quicker than the rest of the country.
Oh, no doubt about it. We're the leading state for job creation, and Houston is the leading metropolitan area for job creation.
It's a great place to live.
Well, and you say that, and that is attracting the other part of it, which is the population increase. We're growing leaps and bounds.
Right.
The people who are in some of these other areas of the country, to the extent that they can, and it's an interesting phenomenon, we haven't seen more people come into the area because they're having difficulty leaving where they are. They can't sell.
They can't
sell the house or whatever. So they and if they do leave, if they foreclosed or have been foreclosed on, say in Nevada or Arizona or Florida or California, and come to Texas, a lot of the times, quite frankly, they're renting. And
we have seen a huge increase in the rental market.
The increase, and that's the reason there's been an increase in the investor market, looking to buy the properties to convert into rentals, the foreclosures, as we were talking about the last. So anyway, across the board, the economic activity and the real estate activity is just going very, very well. I know, and of course, Houston is a big market. It's bigger than 34 states.
Do you think that the Houston area, do you think the commercial side of it is doing better as well?
Better is a relative term, but yes. I think the rents have stabilized. There's a great deal of commercial activity going on. Now, commercial, you have to define what you're talking about.
So many different areas of it.
So many different areas. We've had 2 or 3 new major office buildings built, one downtown. Anytime you have that kind of influx of new supply, it takes a while for the market to absorb it unless there's just unusual demand. The apartment market has been extremely active. As you know, I've forgotten how many, 9,000 units that have been announced or under construction in the Houston area.
There's a lot, yeah.
It's an awful lot. And there may probably be more than that.
And even despite all these people that need to rent, we still had over 20,000 new home construction starts.
That's correct.
So, I mean, it just seems like every area is doing well. I know we've had an increase in luxury property selling as well. Can you address that? I mean, is that really just the influx into the Houston area because our economy is stronger?
It is, and the wealth effect. Since our prices didn't fall like it did in other areas of the country, household wealth didn't fall as much on a percentage basis. So people in Houston feel wealthier, if it's a psychological thing. Also, our housing costs, now the luxury market, once you get over $1 million, you're in a different world than most of us understand. And that's been a very interesting market. Just look at the want ads in the Sunday Houston Chronicle every weekend and see how many of the properties being listed are really very high-end properties. Most of them inside the loop, and then a few in some of the master plan.
Well, I think some people are using it as a storage place for their money. I mean, they really are getting they've had worries over the past few years about all the different places, bonds and stocks and all the places you can put money, and I think that's kind of a safe haven for them to put it in their home.
Absolutely. We've got a number of reports. As you know, at the center here, we track rural land values and urban land values as well as the housing market. And we're getting those kinds of reports. And it's very interesting because also the proportion of all cash sales has increased so much, again, reinforcing what you were saying, that people are looking at fixed assets. And fixed assets, one of the best ones is real estate, as a harbor of where to put their money.
What about, out where you are near College Station, there are a lot of ranches for sale.
Yes.
And it seems like to me there were a lot of people looking for land over the last few years to kind of stick their money in. But now it seems like there are even more big tracts of land for sale. Are you seeing that out where you are?
Yes, but I can tell you that statistically across the state, the real large tract land sales, the volume is down, but it's selective. But the prices are holding and people are buying. But yes, you are correct. Washington County is popular. Obviously out into the hill country is very popular. I'm going to be in Fredericksburg next week. I'll get some more information about that. But we are seeing a lot of interest and a lot of investment in land. We're also beginning to see, though, and back to your investor point, one of the things that has hurt our housing market here the last couple of years, you mentioned 20,000 housing units being built last year, but that's down almost 60% from the peak.
It's just better than everywhere else in the country.
It's just better than everywhere else, exactly. And we are predicting or projecting for this year, that'll even be up a little bit more, maybe 10, 15% higher this year than last year. And that's very good news to get new construction back into the mix.
Now, on a local level, we know that foreclosures are down, according to the Houston MLS. Right. You think that's going to continue, or you think that we'll have the same problems that we're going to have from the national level, that we're not through this yet?
I think we will experience some of it, but I don't think it'll hit us that hard.
Okay.
And for two reasons. Number one, I don't think the volume is there. I don't think the backlog, the jam is that big, if it's there even at all. And number two, our market is strong enough that whatever's there will absorb it pretty easily.
And talk a minute about, in case anybody didn't hear the first segment, talk about the fact that our inventory is low, which almost indicates that we're tilting towards a seller's market, that we might be headed that way.
On paper, it looks that way. I can tell you that. If you're just a pure statistician, yeah, you would say that we are approaching a seller's market. The month's inventory is down. The sheer volume of listings on the MLS is down considerably from where it was in the last year and a half or so. I think there's two or three reasons for that. One is the foreclosures are down, you mentioned, so we're not getting the REO impact onto the listings, and the distress sales, the short sales, and so on. I talked to some realtors who do short sales and their volume is down a little bit. The lenders really still haven't figured out short sales. They're still a little more difficult to do.
At least they finally got the process a little smoother, and they're going faster.
They're going that way because they saw it as a good way to go. It's a bureaucratic kind of thing.
Sure.
Another reason the inventory's down, as we were just talking about, the builders aren't building spec homes and putting them on the listing.
Right.
So you don't see that.
They're waiting until they sell. And
number three, you mentioned it in the first segment. A lot of people who would like to sell, but don't have to. Mm-hmm. Maybe they want to move up, they want to move over, they want to do this or they want to do that, want to retire. Mm-hmm. But they're not. The prices haven't picked back up yet. The price movements have been very, very slow and gradual. At least they're positive, but very slow and gradual. And I think that a lot of people have been sitting on the sidelines here for a while, waiting for those prices. But once we see those prices start picking back up, once people think, for example, interest rates are going to go back up significantly,
right,
that'll bring people back into the market, and that'll also bring sellers back into the market. And we'll see that inventory pick back up.
Well, there's no doubt it's a great time to buy. If you need to finance, this is the time to do it. And we've got to go to a quick break. But Dr. Gaines, thank you for joining us today here on Houston Real Estate Radio.
Oh, my pleasure as always.